The Nintendo Switch has games. Maybe too many games. How could we mention a fact like this without bringing up the calculator app? Seriously, that is a forgotten gem right there. But there's still a few Nintendo franchises that have yet to make an appearance on Switch with their own games. With the Nintendo Switch having as many quality exclusives as it does, what other games would I like to see be made for the system if I had a say? 5 games as a matter of fact. Had to be specific there. Also, 1 game per franchise, or else this whole list will be Mario Odyssey 2, Mario Odyssey 3, and Mario Odyssey 4. You get the idea. It's back. I'm sorry. So basically, I'm going to take a page out of my past and rehash a speculation video that I haven't touched in 9 months. Oh wow, it's really been that long? But basically, ever since I talked about my 5 most wanted Switch games back in September 2021, I thought, you know what, why not do it again? This time in 9 months. But back when I first talked about them, I mentioned games that, for the most part, were games that a lot of others wanted and were highly requested games from other Nintendo fans. Except for the remake of Donkey Kong 94. Seriously, how am I the only one who wants this? We need more people to care, you know. And while I still do want all those games to come out, not just because I do, but everyone else does also, I think. However, this time I'm going to try to not focus too heavily on everyone's requests and just go with games that I personally want. Unless you've been reading my mind. Leave me and my thoughts to myself, please. And just like last time, I have some rules to discuss. Only 1 game per franchise. I feel as if discussing multiple games that I want in the same franchise kinda makes things less interesting from the viewer's perspective and isn't all too interesting. I'm also not going to talk about games that we already know are coming or have already been released. Those are disqualified as well. And finally, no games from the previous list either, or else there really won't be any point to watch this video over the other. But if I mention a game in a franchise I already mentioned before, that's fine, as long as it's not the same game. But yeah, this time I'm just going to go with my own instincts this time when talking about 5 more Switch games I want Nintendo to make. Starting with... The intro. How else would I start the video off? Number 5, a brand new Donkey Kong game. Alright everyone, get your history textbooks out, because we're having a history lesson. Back in the summer of 2021, around E3 time, there were rumors spreading across the internet that Nintendo would reveal a brand new 3D Donkey Kong game to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the franchise during their E3 2021 Nintendo Direct. And let me tell you that on that day, that day was something alright. Alright Nintendo, let's see that brand new Donkey Kong game. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. But just because it never happened means I won't put it to rest just yet. I still think there's potential for this. Now sure, if we had a 3D Donkey Kong game developed by the Mario Odyssey team, that would be great, but because we haven't had any new game in the Donkey Kong series for a solid 8 years, I'm pretty much desperate for anything at this point. I'll take a 3D Donkey Kong game developed by the Mario Odyssey team, sure, but I'll also take a sequel to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. The first 3 Donkey Kong Country games on the Super Nintendo were all awesome in their own rights. But the modern games Returns and Tropical Freeze are truly just on a whole nother level. These games are fantastic. So why did we only get 2 of them? I mean sure, Retro might have their hands full with Metroid Prime 4 right now, but before that, why couldn't they just do it? They had plenty of time. Okay, overly exaggerated rant out of the way. What I'm just saying is, bring back Donkey Kong. He deserves as much of a new game as Mario and Zelda. I mean, heck, without Donkey Kong, Mario wouldn't even exist these days. And plus, you didn't do anything for the 40th anniversary. At least show Donkey Kong fans that you care. Please. Number 4, a sequel to Lynx Crossbow Training. Bet you weren't expecting this, huh? Last year, I talked about Lynx Crossbow Training on the Nintendo Wii. It was a fun game. It probably wasn't a good Zelda game because, you know, but you know what? It still made for a fun distraction and a highly replayable game. The Twilight Princess art style hasn't aged all that well nowadays, so if Nintendo were to make a sequel to this game, they would have to change up a few things like the art style and, heck, even add more levels. I talked about this more when I talked about the game itself last year, so feel free to check that out if you want. But yeah, while Lynx Crossbow Training is pretty forgotten, and it hasn't constantly been requested by fans to get a sequel or a modern appearance like new Pokemon Snap, which we eventually got in April of last year, just bring this game back, man. Come on. Number 3. A new Wario Land. Mario and Donkey Kong platformers are fantastic in their own rights, but I also really like Wario platformers, or to be more specific, the Wario Land games. I haven't played all of them. I beat the first game on the 3DS Virtual Console and Shake It on the Wii, and both were just awesome. These were just truly unique platformers that didn't have any right to be as enjoyable as they were. Again, I haven't played all of them, but the ones I played were great. So that's why I believe it would be so bizarre on Nintendo's part to not bring this series back on the Nintendo Switch. We already have WarioWare with Get It Together, which was a great game, but a traditional Wario platformer is what people want. New worlds, a new art style, new power-ups, new characters, just new everything, okay? Especially since this franchise hasn't gotten a new entry in about 14 years, so yeah, I believe we are well overdue for a new entry. Bring back Donkey Kong, bring back other neglected Nintendo franchises, but also bring back Wario Land. You won't regret it, Nintendo. Well, I mean, at least I hope not. It's Wario. We'll never know what to expect. Number 2. A new traditional Wii Play minigame collection. Listen, man, I don't care what anyone says. Wii Play was actually kind of fun. It's not necessarily a very relevant game to play today, but back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, this game was all the rage in my household. Just saying, I had a good childhood. I played a ton of shooting range with my siblings, charge, tanks, fishing, table tennis, pose me for some unexplainable reason. Yeah, that's about it, to be honest. The rest of the other mini games in Wii Play were just either too low quality for my taste or just wasn't for me. And only having 8 definitely lowered its quality quite a bit. So that's why I say Nintendo needs to bring this game back and call it Nintendo Switch Play. I don't know anything anymore, okay? Don't judge me. Sure, we have Clubhouse games with a few Wii Play inspired mini games thrown in there, which is nice, but I'd have a hard time calling that the Switch's Wii Play if it was already from a series not inspired by it. Bring back Wii Play in a better, more sophisticated fashion. More games, more modes. Heck, even online multiplayer would be cool. Just more of Wii Play. Oh yeah, and did I mention I also talked about this in the past as well? It's pretty neat. So, here we are at the number 1 spot. So far so good. I know I said at the start that I wanted to go with games that not a lot of people were expecting, and I kinda did that. But the other games that a lot of people want are also games that I want too, so I felt it was necessary to put those on this list as well. But for the last spot, I had to do a bit of thinking through some of my favorite Nintendo franchises and think about what franchise I want Nintendo to bring a new entry to. I didn't want to go with the most obvious games or games that I already mentioned, so how about this? Number 1, a brand new remix game. NES Remix Pack on Wii U is great fun. Basically combining the ideas of throwing lightning-fast challenges at you at the same pace as WarioWare, while combining the vast array of NES games available, and you have NES Remix Pack. It's a pretty fun time. So maybe Nintendo could potentially port this to the Switch if they feel like it with some new challenges here and there, but I was thinking an SNES take on these games as well, or heck, even Nintendo 64 and who knows, maybe even Game Boy games. The sky's the limit, and hey, all I'm saying is, there's a ton of potential for more systems represented, and this franchise could just be so much more than NES games. Don't get me wrong, NES games are great, and this is a cool way to play them in a different way compared to what gamers are typically used to playing them as. But I'm just saying, more systems getting represented would go a long way. Please make it happen. So, what do you think? Is this list better than the original? Was there anything you agree or disagree with me on? Or did I not mention something in this video resulting in dangerous levels of fury that you want to express the worst side of yourself down below? Let me know. But before I end things here, there's one more game I feel is well worth mentioning. Nintendo Switch Sports. It happened recently, and it's a pretty okay game. I don't think it lived up to all the expectations we wanted it to, but for being a Switch version of Wii Sports, while it definitely could have been way better, it's pretty okay. But with the Switch version of Wii Sports hitting the Switch, does that mean that we could potentially see a Switch version of Wii Play come in the near future as well? Probably not, but if it means that we won't get a Switch version of Wii Music in the future, then I am all for it. And that's going to wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider subscribing and checking out my other videos on my channel where you'll find more videos like this one. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.